All right, good morning, everybody. This is Bill Candid, Chairman of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. It's March the 20th, Thursday, 2025. So if you got a cell phone on, silence it. And we'll begin this meeting at 9 o'clock. And it will be recorded on Zoom and on YouTube as well, and we'll find out a little more about that later. So please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for all our blessings, and we ask that you please bless this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. Strengthen us with wisdom, patience, kindness, and goodness so that we can solve perplexed problems that we face today and make the choices that can be good for our citizens in the future. Grant us the grace to ask what you would have us to do, that the spirit of wisdom may save us from all false choices, and that in thy light we may see light. I ask this in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay, roll call, Kelly.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Epp.
Present.
Commissioner Vogelsong.
Here.
And clerk of the board, Kelly Campbell.
All right, thank you. Audience introduction, and we'll start with our,
BOCC admin, Caitlin Moore.
actually, she's not an audience, she's a participant too. She's multitasking today.
James Gilbert.
Brad Bumps, the corner.
Nikita Phillips, deputy coroner.
Back on the corner here, I can't see. Oh, there it is. Nadine, there she is.
Jim Shapland.
Back.
Jeremy Hockett, pain in the ass.
Brothers and human resources.
Thank you, Robert. Online, how many we have?
We have two, Custer Canyon Landfill and Deb Adams.
Okay, any amendments to the agenda?
No, treasurer won't be here to give in person. And I'm hoping, I didn't get confirmed whether Redlands would be on, but we were trying to get it so that Redlands would be on this call, so.
Okay, so we should be on finance.
Under the accounting part, and Vernon will be here for both IT and finance.
Okay. Okay, so a lot of written.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, no changes.
Okay, good. Good, this would be a good meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting on March 13th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes. I thought they were great. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, Commissioner items, go ahead, Lucas.
I don't have a lot. We had a couple workshops in the last 7 days. One was with Round Mountain and Dorothy. That was an open workshop. We had a closed workshop with coroner and sheriff about some incident command situations that we had just here in the recent past. So that was a closed workshop. But other than that, just continuing to work on things in county. So
Good. Oh,
Lucas said half of what I was gonna say, so we're good. You covered everything that I'd add. We did that.
okay, the only thing I have, I went down to the Upper Ark Water Conservancy District, and so Caitlin, would you get back with their admin, and we'll set up a time to have a town hall with all the citizens to have them do a briefing on all their projects, and they're ready to work with you on the projects that are happening here in Westcliff, like why are we raising the proposal. One of the projects is putting 4 feet higher out there at Lake Louise to raise the water level up. And a couple other projects that are of interest to everybody here and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And they'll be available in the next 6 weeks. I think it will be after that time. Let's set it up, get it on the calendar. And that's all I've got right now. So with that, how about our attorney's not here yet?
No.
Was he not coming
He's
today?
not, he won't be here. He's on vacay,
Yeah. And
I think.
I understand that our public health director is sick too. Is that
Yes.
still?
Yes.
Okay. Caitlin, you got anything? Okay, sheriff's report, and the sheriff is not here today. He's actually in Denver. He's on a committee that they're issuing some grants for other sheriffs for other things. So he sent in a written report, and what he is doing right now, there's another grant they're applying for. It's the grant that funds the bailiff, court security grant.
Court security.
So that draft will be ready, and I'll send that through when it is available. And it's the same as last year. I think it's 150K this year they're asking for. I think we had 140 called burning yesterday, and I think it was 140 or so they did in the last budget, the year before that. So it's similar.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So we'll see what else we got when that report gets read.
Yeah, so there's some expenses we'll be moving out of here, it back into 24, so that'll make some of this stuff look a little better than what's here, but other than that, he's right at, in February, he was right at 17% of budget, so.
Looking good. Okay, treasurer, you said she's not here, and what we got?
She did drop it off.
There.
It's underneath your notebook. The self-insurance fund will get hit here. Those bills came in this month. So when we get her May report, we'll show that fund, depleted and starting to build back up, so. But otherwise, everything else is, positive balance.
Okay, you wanna read the start from the end?
So the beginning balance, January 1st of 25 was $9,354,047. And the ending balance at the end of January 25 was $9,581. $9,581,166. $9,581,166.
There, you got it. Thanks.
If you want.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report from January of 2025.
I'll second it. All in favor? Lucas?
Aye.
Oh, I,
And I. Okay, next up, Brad, come on up.
Morning, gentlemen. Good, good.
Sir?
Good morning. I'm over here.
Sit there, kind of aim toward the,
Oh, we're aiming towards the crowd.
Yeah.
let them hear your magnificent vocal cords.
I am not used to being with all this pressure facing the crowd.
Face the music.
So, yeah.
yeah, welcome aboard.
So we started off really slow this year, but we got,
Caught back up.
yeah, we caught back up.
You just-
So, January and February, we only had one death. And then March has been crazy. We've had 5 total now. We had 4 in less than a week. So, we had a heart attack on the 3rd. Then we had the fire on the 4th. And we spent 4 days out there working. Worked with 4 state fire investigators from the state of Colorado. 3 dogs, 2 cadaver dogs, 1 accelerant dog, and they were amazing, did a great job for us, and we were able to recover the victim from the fire. You probably read the press release. I met with the family out there the following day, and then we attended autopsy that Friday and spent the day in the Springs at autopsy. We did recover a hip replacement from him and was able to positively identify him through his hip replacement. There's a serial number on all hardware. So that went off without a hitch. And then we've had 2 more since.
Before you leave that, did they find
both-
the cause of that fire?
They didn't. I think it's gonna end up undetermined as an exact cause. They found some stain rags in a bucket in the garage where it may have been staining a project. Some kind of combustion with the chemicals. And, but there were extension cords running everywhere out the windows and stuff that we found. And I really think it was probably electrical, but it was a complete loss. So there wasn't a lot of evidence left to deal with. We recovered the victim this next day, the second day. It was too hot the first day to get in there, but there was 4 feet of debris in the crawl space. And that's all that was left, and that's where we recovered it. He was still in bed, so the good news is I think he was overcome, asphyxiated by the smoke, and wasn't attempting to get out. He was overcome before the fire got to him. So that's the only bright point of that. But then we've had 2 natural since then, and our last one was Sunday night, just last Sunday night. So I wrote both of those natural deaths.
Budget tracking?
Budget's doing good. We're great shape, and hoping to get those new radios down here sometime. I've asked that they be shipped so I don't have to make a trip to Denver, but I haven't heard back from them yet. So
Does that include the hospice?
No.
Or were those,
no, I've had 3 hospice as well this month. So yeah, we're up to about 8. Yeah, 8 or 10 now, because I don't always get, depending on the hospice, I don't always get all the info I need from them. Some of them are real good about it, some of them I hear through the grapevine, so. But we did have 2 of those this week too. So,
Were there any animals in the fire on Tuesday?
not that we were aware of. No, I don't think he had a dog or anything. Yeah, we recovered gold from when I was looking for the body, we recovered gold. He had gold nuggets, and I spoke with his sons when I met him there. And it was kind of interesting that he had gold nuggets from Alaska in a jar in his room, and they were all melted into a
Glob with the
glob.
glass.
Yeah.
But I did recover them and return them to the family. So, yeah. Yeah, other than that, we're doing good. Everything's rolling along, nothing unusual.
anything you find out that you needed after that 4-day fire? Did
No,
you
and
listen, or-
I hate to pat our on the back, but the fire inspectors asked for quite a few things on that scene for tools and different paraphernalia that we had, and they patted Nikita on the back and said, for a small county, you guys really got it going on. They said we had everything they asked for, everything on scene, all the tools. I've loaded the truck with tools. Every time I go to a scene and I feel I need something, I go buy it and put it in the truck. And so we've got a ton of things in there that help on a scene. And then they complimented me before they left and said that they learned a lot from me on that scene.
It
The
was
fire
windy that
inspectors.
day also.
It was 40-mile-an-hour winds the first day, yeah. So it went fast and it burned to the ground. So-
Which reminds me, it's good for the public to know too, the sheriff got, 20, how many hazmat suits?
Yeah, he did just get some, and they've offered
They
us
were
a couple
gifted to him by
from the Army.
from the Army, and then we have a grant that was able to buy one.
We've applied
But we applied for the grant.
Yeah,
Right.
some respirators.
For the,
for the face
right,
mask.
firefighters mask. face
Yeah.
mask.
Yeah, yeah.
Breathing
So that'll help
apparatus.
you on the next
Yeah,
fire.
and they've offered us a couple
Stay
of
out
those
of it.
new suits. They want us to come over and try them out, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that too.
Good.
So maybe we'll have that in our truck too, so. But other than that, we're doing good. We're well equipped and everything went well. And got high praise from the state inspector, so it's good. I was proud to hear that.
Good to be recognized.
Yeah,
For certain things.
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes.
All right,
All righty,
anything else?
nope, any questions? I'm open to
You
questions.
brought your staff, they got, you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, my admin.
Staff will,
Okay.
multi-purpose.
Add it to the list.
All
Thanks, Brett.
Alrighty,
Thanks, Brett.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Come to you.
Thank you, guys.
Favors.
Your turn. Staff reports are up now, rest of it. So we got human resources now.
Just remember to speak loud, Bob.
Or hand him the mic.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you'll get feedback from Mike.
Yeah, speak loud. Okay, Bob, you're up.
Okay, so, last week, the Colorado Retirement Association, our retirement plan rep was here meeting with employees. I understand from him, he had quite a large number of employees take advantage of the fact that he was here and met with him and asked questions, and that's always good. We have confirmed with this, our retirement plan CRA that the county missed our contributions of retirement from employee and county into the plan for December of '24 and January '25. So those contributions are in the process of being worked through to get them sent over. So that's a project in process. Also, along the same lines of auditing contributions to the retirement plan, we've identified a combination of current and former employees who we did not deduct retirement contributions for primary causes. They were part-time employees whose wages increased to the point where they would be considered full-time up to 32 hours or above, and they weren't monitored, and so they weren't changed and converted to full-time for retirement purposes, so their deductions weren't withheld. So the last number we came up with was 6. So that's somewhat of a lengthy process to get corrected through the IRS, because at that point it's so old that we will end up having to pay their portion of what they would have contributed plus the county's portion. So that's a process we're going through with the IRS and retirement plan. So many has been working on that.
Okay, so we're going back to their start date that they started those additional hours?
Yes, that's what we're required to do is.
How far back does that go?
The oldest one I think is like 1.5 years. Initially I was thinking one of them was going to be like several years, but it ended up after we did the research, it's like maybe 1.5 years or 2 for at least one. Some of them are just a mix of hours. Some former employees, a couple of current employees whose wages migrated.
Hours migrated.
Yeah, their hours migrated. Their hours worked increased from part-time to over 32 hours. They consider 32 hours full-time and eligible for retirement plan. So I had to go back and double check their wages and all that stuff, and identify when that increase happened on a consistent basis, not just like once or twice a week in a pay period, but consistently, to where they would qualify to be considered full-time for retirement purposes. So that's being was looked at and worked with CRA and the IRS. And then some updates go over with you on the master plan and objectives that.
All I can't hear,
Yeah, speak up. Get over the beep.
Yeah.
So I'll go over some of that, because that's really kind of the.
Take it away from me.
A picture of what is driving what we're doing right now. So we finished correcting the original setup to the personnel module in CIC. As we've mentioned before, personnel and payroll modules in CIC were not fully set up or set up incorrectly when we started that whole program. And so
3 years ago.
And so with help from CIC and Monique spending a lot of time in and have set up a lot of that or recreating and fixing so that they could work properly, and they're working better. We're we're still finding things within those systems that need attention. Also got with personnel and the payroll module. This will be the second payroll that Monique has done on her own, as we separated that for Jen doing it in finance to just Monique doing it. So that's going well. I suspect I'll need this one and maybe one more before we catch all of those pieces within both of those programs, to where we've picked them up and resolved the problems that we're finding and going forward. One of the things that we are going to be able to do is within the CIC, there is the ability for us to set up, they call it employee portal. So employees will be able to have access to CIC and be able to see their own check history and download their own W-2s.
I thought we had that set up already, or we're working.
Where we found out is able to do, prior to all of this, it was not believed that the employees could do that. But as we've worked through this, CSC has said, yes, you can do that, but we need to fix these things. And then we're gonna have to send out an email to all the employees saying, we need an email address and a phone number. Because those are the two things that the system needs to be able to generate access for them into the system. So that'll be coming. It's a great tool for the employees, so
It should have.
So that's coming. One of the things that was missing in the payroll system and personnel was it should have been able to track workers' comp rates, and a little bit of back history to that. Each position for workers' comp purposes, it has a rating based on its risk to injury, and it's a percentage or a dollar of what their wage is. And so that should have been being tracked in the payroll system, and it was never set up. And so I've got the claim I got from CIC, our workers' comp codes and related rates, and so those are now being plugged in so we can track that for budget purposes.
And you updated the medical provider notification on workman's comp. You said that, I'm looking at your report.
Right. Okay, I'm not following. Oh, you're farther back.
Workman's comp, yeah, which is a big deal.
Yeah, the workers' comp, I haven't gone out for bid yet, if that's what you're asking. And so I've been pulled off to do, what I'm just gonna tell you next, is the weeding out and auditing the sick and vacation rollover. That's been hanging out for a long time from when we went from PTO and got rid of sick and vacation. And those hours were they were allowed to hang on for a year and use them down. And so there was an unknown number of how many hours they've been floating. So all of this week and part of last week, I've been going through the records and identifying how many hours each employee had at the time PTO took over, and then how many hours of sick and vacation they did use to draw that down, and then applying that to the policy so we would know how many PT hours they should have, and then reaching out to departments who kept records off books of their own to see if they matched what was in CIC, so I could get an accurate account, and then putting out reports for each individual employee of those records, and so they would know where they're at. That's been an ongoing problem for everybody. So that has been eating my time since the last time we met. And that's close to being done. I've gotten most of the data out of CIC, created individual reports, and now I'm collecting records from each department. So going out for bids for workers' comp is next, as soon as I can get this project off.
Okay.
So that's filled most of my time. So you talked about Monique transitioning. that, transitioning. Sick leave vacation hours we just talked about. Going out for bid for workers' comp, that's next up, as well as possibly looking at medical, dental, vision, and life insurances. I've been gathering some possible brokers to reach out to see if they would be interested in being a broker of record to do that. That process, how it generally works is the employer or us, we would identify a broker of record who would go to the market on our behalf because they have access to all the carriers and they have that relationship, and the carriers actually are more comfortable working with brokers than with the individual employer. That's just how the system works. I have not had any success in trying to do that as an employer directly to the carriers of the markets. They want to work with a broker. So unless I can get somebody to do it with us, directly tie with us without doing that. So that's in the process. I think those are the big things. Any questions?
No, that's all covered in the handbook, but I was gonna ask anything else. No further.
Okay.
No, you got a lot to do, a lot that you brought us out of, and still a lot to go through, so thank you for
You're welcome.
working with a system that wasn't quite set up completely and wasn't maintained completely, so.
Once we can get the CIC stuff working like it's supposed to be, then it will make things a lot easier. And I think the employees will have a little bit more confidence in how the system works. That'll move forward on some of the bigger projects that need to be
Paul's got
attended to.
another one.
If I may just recap a little bit here, that we started with nothing as an HR until Bob came aboard. There was no way to go to, there was no policies and everything. So we've been building that now for how long?
A year.
A year.
Hard to believe.
And it's not that easy to build a complete department in human resources. There's a lot of different things coming into it, so good job.
Thank you.
And the neat thing is, Bob survived. Bob died and came back to help us.
Yeah.
He really did.
February, 3 months in my
That's right.
widowmaker heart attack.
Yeah.
And
He had a widowmaker, and you don't survive it, looks like a 3%.
We're glad you're here.
thank
He
you.
should have had that when he opened his doors.
Thank you for that.
Thank you again, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
I do have-
Oh, you got a question?
Yes, sir.
Being that we're going full-time and and the goal is to get all of these amenities for full-time employees, being that all the county employees are going full-time and we're getting all these amenities for full-time employees, is the goal to go to 5 days a week, work week, so for access, because we're gonna pay full-time employees, or is the goal to go to full-time hours?
Well, there's two things I hear in your question. Part of it I can't answer, the board will have to answer. But even if somebody works 4 days a week, they're considered full-time because they're putting in 40 hours within those 4 days as opposed to 40 hours over 5 days. So from the classification of full-time, they still are, as far as that goes, because it's not a combination of how many days they work, but how many hours in a work week. And as far as accessibility to the citizens, that's going to be a board question.
I only bring it up because you said because they reached the 32 hours a week threshold, and that's where I was going with the.
Oh,
upgrade
okay,
hours.
yeah. Yeah, if they're working 32 hours,
It'd be good.
in years past, to be considered full-time for benefits, full-time was considered 40 hours a week, right? However, several years ago during the Obama administration, the feds changed and made a legal description of what 40 hours is to be 32 hours or more is considered legally full-time according to the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. So that's why the term full-time and 32 hours is what it is.
Right, but 40 hours per week is what is the requirement. And like he said, they get the
Right.
benefits if they're over 32.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
There are very, very.
I have 50 in Salida, sunny with some clouds.
What you
Could be
talking
some
about?
gusty winds this afternoon.
What's going on here?
I have no idea.
Someone online is talking,
Okay.
Yes.
I just have to be-
Very few people moved from part-time to full-time. It was a very small percentage. The majority of the county works full-time already.
Correct. This is, when I talked about catching up those benefits, that's over a period of time. Most of them were hired as part-time or were regularly working less than 32. But for reasons outside of this discussion, their work hours increased to where they, by benefit purposes, qualified them for retirement contributions. And that's mandated by the plan description with our retirement plan. The plan document states if they get to X number of hours on a regular basis, that we must contribute. And so that's
To
just,
answer your question, okay,
50%, because what he's saying makes sense, because when you hire a part-time employee, you hire so you don't have to pay.
they're supposed to be part-time and stay part-time.
Yeah, but once they make full-time
Sometimes.
and they get these benefits, just try to see if the goal is to get the maximum. You can out of it now that we're paying them.
I would expect so, but that's, I'd have to have that discussion with each department head who managed them as to what kind of level they're getting.
Right. And then maybe they did need a full-time employee and maybe we couldn't afford it.
Well, they
No,
just
it makes plenty of sense.
didn't
There's
manage
no way
them.
to maximize what we get.
Just to be clear, we're not paying anybody 40 hours
That doesn't
of
work.
pay that doesn't work 40 hours.
No, I'm
So-
Correct,
not
right,
saying
right.
that.
Okay.
I'm
There's a
just saying
difference
now that
between-
we get the benefits, I just want to see you get maximum
Right.
out of that.
Okay? Which one?
Jim McMahon, so as we're evolving and we're coming out of the dark ages where we spent years getting lied to, saying, oh, CIC conversion is gone. It's on tape. There's 2 years of deceit that took place. How bizarre was that? I just absolutely appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping Vern's helping you. And
Yes,
I'm sure
absolutely.
he's a
Yeah.
huge part of that.
That's right.
Because Vern's been here from the beginning of it. He knows all of this. The words I'm speaking are ringing true, I'm sure they are. So thank you guys for lifting, bringing up that standard of where maybe our audit won't be 100,000 or 80,000.
80.
Yeah.
Where it used to be maybe 16 or 20. So you're earning your money.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad you got off the table.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Thank you, Robert.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we got IT. Come on, Vernon. Well, he's wearing two hats today.
Yeah, not three yet.
I'm trying to speak up for everybody.
Just so you know, he is the department head for finance, but he's got a good right hand coming, he's training him up, and so he's got him working, so he's gonna give his report.
Do you want finance or IT?
IT.
Okay,
That's what I meant by that report.
turn that, that tricorn hat to that direction. Well, my report pretty much outlines our activities over the last month. Transitioning from IT into finance, there's a lot of generational knowledge that I've been working to convey to John Mapes. And one of the things that we're doing to make certain that that knowledge and information is transferred is we're doing a complete internal audit and inventory. I've tasked John with basically creating a map, creating a spreadsheet style map of all of our inventory, of all of our logins, of all of our data centers and what we use on a daily basis.
You tasked him with throwing out the junk.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and I want to stress,
Got a lot of it.
well, we've got a lot of junk over the years that have, you know, we cleaned out the 911 center years ago, and that storing all of that, I probably saved $10,000 by being able to
Pull
pull
stuff ahead,
things out of that.
it
So
reached its limit.
we've pretty much reached the limit of what we can pull from all that stuff.
It isn't
So, yeah.
obsolete.
Usable
Exactly.
stuff.
Well, a data cable doesn't go obsolete, but it can burn out, so
Yeah.
there's, part of, a significant portion of this last month has been the Microsoft updates. They have been a nightmare.
Boy.
Microsoft is a virus in and of itself, but they are radically and they are oppressively pushing the syncing function of Microsoft, and we are
Fighting Apple, too.
Yeah, we're fighting back. We're systematically shutting this off.
It's worth a note here, because if you tried to call anybody in the county, whether it's a commissioner or Vernon or whether, I've gotten somebody else's wife on it, because the phones are all jacked in half.
And that wasn't even the county phone. That was,
No, it gets,
it's insane.
it's
insane.
crazy what's happened with
Yeah.
Google and Microsoft.
Yep. The latest Microsoft update, in the background turned on sync functions, so suddenly people are getting phone calls that they aren't supposed to be getting, and it's just been
Crazy.
very frustrating. So we've been aggressively working on that this
In
last
fact,
month.
that weather report might have been one of the problems that we just got on Google. Crazy.
So in conjunction with finance, get to wear two hats here, the VPN access and the computer training that I've been doing with all the departments has been moving forward. It's interesting how much IT and finance kind of overlap there. Tasked by the commissioners in a workshop recently, I have created a complete structure outline. And for the public, this is an idea that we've had for a little while about defining a department's functions and making certain that the functions correlate with the job descriptions and such. And IT is kind of the tip of the spear in that regard, as well as finance. So we've created structure outlines identifying the specific areas of work, the function that IT does, and then making certain that we have the personnel and the training that goes along with that, and creating a spreadsheet of those functions. So that's been a huge project this last month. Basically, it's all lived in my head for the last 7 years, and with my spreadsheets, now John is recreating that so that it can be conveyed more correctly. It can be presented to the commissioners. If there are needs, we can accurately say, this is our issue and this is our needs. So, and then correlating with that, leading into the future of county IT services, there's as per our workshop discussion, we're going to have to make some interesting changes. As I said last time I was sitting here, the world of IT has changed so much in the last 7 years. It is not the same. It is not the same place that we started at, and we're going to have to change with it. So that is my IT report.
Very good.
Questions, anybody? Jim?
Jim McMahon, Vern, are there any other options other than Microsoft?
So Microsoft, as a Windows-based operating system, is pretty ubiquitous. I'm not going to go to Linux. I'm not going to go to Apple. Apple's going to be much more expensive. I can buy a $1,000 computer here to do the same function. If I buy an Apple, it's going to be $3,000. So the county can't afford that. Linux-based operating system is an option, but you have to be a programmer, pretty heavy-duty programmer, to be able to use it across for networking. So Windows is kind of the only game in town for operating systems. Now, if we switch the conversation from operation systems to, for instance, word processing, there are other options. There is, for instance, LibreOffice or something like that, which has all the functionality of the Office 365 suite, but it's free. But it also has a steep learning curve. I use it pretty extensively, and I like it. But there are other options. It's a matter, and that's one of the reasons why we went with Google, so that people could, Google Docs is pretty, it doesn't have as many functions as Office 365 Word, but it does function well enough for most people to use it. So there's some interplay there, but now Windows 11 pushed an update that basically required all new computers to have a Microsoft email account with it. And we are disabling these features. We're correcting that issue, but it's a challenge. And every time, I mean, as we saw last year with there was a Microsoft update and CrowdStrike shut down half the country because CrowdStrike identified the Microsoft update as a virus, and it wiped things down to the BIOS.
That was the point of me bringing this question up, is Windows may not be the answer here with Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest that maybe have a professional person evaluate the situation to see what it looks like.
Okay.
This is just something that somebody brought to my attention. Because it ain't nowhere in my wheelhouse, not even close. Yeah. So my other question is too, is it John Maples?
John Mapes.
Mapes?
M-A-P-E-S.
He's an IT guy?
Mm-hmm. Former Navy, really sharp, very good with tech, also a surveyor. Maps are in his wheelhouse, so there's a lot of skill sets there. Yeah, he's doing a really good job.
Okay, I don't want to take up too much time, but good deal. It sounds like IT and finance is still struggling quite a bit.
Well,
but going forward.
We have a vision now, at least.
And the CIC, you're learning all that? You're figuring out how that goes?
I have a pretty good understanding of CIC. And in the future, we're going to be looking at something else. But
well, that was my other take on it too, because what we've learned in the last 5 years, what I've been exposed to is there's other programs that are probably a lot better. So,
it's going to be an investment.
Exactly.
It's something we can look at.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it
And
up.
we watched that video too, where you guys had an aha moment of, Bill, it was you and Jay and Tom. It was like, man, this is so important. And that was like seven years ago. So that is so important. That's the hub of the county, is tracking that and also taking care of the employees. Thank you guys. Hopefully we're going forward.
If I may, the other thing to add to that is that if we do switch, there's a training amount of time there also when we do switch, so.
Lots to consider in the big picture, but some may have to do it, like.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes.
Probably an interval, we're gonna look at it, but that's one of the other
We're not the only ones, that's for sure.
dollar amount that we have to look at is the actual training to get them to that level from what we're currently using.
And we, with building an HR department, a finance department, and looking at the future of IT, all three departments are gonna be very, as well as the treasurer, is gonna be very, have to work together on this changeover when we do this here in a few years, 5 years, whatever it ends up being. So we'll have more people that'll be involved in it, and we'll know where we're at to make that changeover, so. So yeah,
Challenge.
it'll
Okay,
should be a
one
lot.
time for one quick, and we gotta move on to
You
finance.
say he was a Navy guy, what was his rate, like CT,
He was an ice seaman.
internal communications? Then
He is very good. He even understands Apple phones, and he's not an Apple guy.
Yes, he understands Apple phones. And I apologize if I look blurry-eyed. I had goat babies last night, and that was a very long night, so. I was kind of, need
All right.
more coffee.
You know, ice seaman, you get me afterwards.
I'm a gunner's mate.
Okay.
He's Navy too. Yeah. Go ahead, for finance.
So segueing into what you just said, finance. So I've actually started creating outlines that show where the overlap is between finance, IT, HR, and the treasurer, and the interplay. I showed you one of those sheets the other day, so that we can more accurately and effectively when we do a conversion. Because a conversion is the longest four-letter word in history. It's expensive and it's a nightmare. But when we actually get to the point where we do that conversion, we'll have a clear picture because in the past, that information kind of lived in people's heads. With the workflows that I'm creating, I can say to each commissioner, this is the process that we have to go through to make certain so that we get this done right. So, finance report. There's a lot of audit prep going on. There's a lot of audit work going on. We're doing period 13 adjustments for 24, working with the accountants. Essentially what that means is that making certain that accounts payable things that came in let's say January or early February that should be credited, or should be recorded in the 24 fiscal year are recorded back. We're doing a lot of grant work to make certain that the grants are a turnkey operation for the auditors instead of in the past them having to go out and find that information from the different departments. Payroll reconciliation, I've been working with Robert and Monique on making certain, I've been helping them, as you mentioned earlier, making certain that we have the data recorded correctly. And I'm in near daily communication with the accountants as well. So there's a lot of work going on there in the audit prep field. I started a budget review, as I said in an email a couple of days back, reviewing the budget for the first few months to make certain everybody's on track and moving in the right direction. Identified a few little glitches that we were able to correct with coding errors and such, so that's been going well. The new accounts payable technician is just doing a fantastic job. I know that you guys work with her several times a week, excuse me.
Yeah.
She's doing a fantastic job and is starting to tackle some of the training aspects and making certain people are paying their credit card bills correctly and that type of deal. She and I actually created an entire workflow, step-by-step procedure, and the next step will be putting in pictures of basically how to enter your credit cards and how to do that the best way.
Cartoons.
We'll get there.
Let me interject here a little bit. So a lot of what Vernon and I have largely worked on is when I came in here, there was no commissioner's handbook. There was not a lot of formalized processes and workflows to go, this is how we do this process. This is how we work through this workflow. A lot of it was just in people's heads, and as they leave, the knowledge leaves with them, including commissioners. So part of our goal is, what do we all want in a commissioner's handbook for anybody that's running for commissioner, or when somebody gets sworn in as commissioner, and you go, here's the book, here's what Vernon's job is, and here's what Caitlin's job is, and here's what these people do, here's what the VSO does, and here's the task that they do, so that there's some knowledge there to garner and gain, because there is no book out there that's specific to Custer County in what we do, or what we should be monitoring, or be looking at, or know about the DHS director and what that department all does. There's nothing out there. You're piecemealing it as you get it as you go. And this is a lot of these things that we've talked about here are correcting things that just didn't get formalized in the past, and we're trying to get these written down and formalized into the future so we have a better history and a better, so if somebody, heaven forbid, that the bus hits or somebody wants to take a couple weeks off and gets married or whatever that case is, or has a child and needs to leave, somebody can go into that spot and go, oh, here's the procedure that I need to go through to take over this person's job for the 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 days. So it's a tall order, and that it was always being worked on in the background as we do the things that we have to do on a daily basis. So sorry to interject in that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
We'll let him report.
What we found in conjunction with that, we found that a lot of people have been set up to fail because they don't have the workflows
Right.
and the procedures that we've identified as a needful thing. And so I've been starting to work with department heads as well. This department head says, hey, do we have, can you give me some guidance on this? I'm getting this information from the state. And I said, you know what? I do have a workflow for that. Let's, so I've been doing a lot of training with the department heads too, and moving forward with just setting everybody up for success. It's so important. And that's really the crux of the finance report. We'll have, next month, I will present a quarterly budget finance report showing all the expenditures year to date, and it'll give us a clear picture of how things are moving forward from the finance standpoint. But really, it's like our auditor said, it's about oversight and monitoring. And we are starting that monitoring process and giving people the tools to do that too.
There.
Good, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, quick one, Jim.
Yeah, is there a standard bookkeeping that's typically followed? What was that Gatsby thing or somebody was mentioning? Do we implement that at all? And then the other question is it centralized or decentralized? And why are the department heads have to be computer operators? I mean, why are they burdened with all of this?
So we are, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So we are looking at, a lot of stuff got decentralized. So we're bringing it back in as we have the people and as we get them trained up. So both the person that's paying all our bills and, okay, so what can this person handle? Let's get them trained up first, and then let's start centralizing. So we've already been somewhat forced into it because of technology, CIC, and our VPNs, and what the cost of those are per year for those VPN licenses. So what we're starting to do is all our boards now that are tourism board and all that, all their receipts are coming in to a central place and they're getting paid centrally. So we can monitor. It's easier for me to sit there with Kristen twice a month and go, okay, let's go through all these invoices and let's start gathering them. Are they getting scanned? And we can monitor that a lot better internally. So we're going to be starting to look at that from a department
Not only
standpoint.
that, it allows him to catch receipts that haven't been turned in, and good, making sure people are being held accountable for what they have to do to keep us clean, and it's working.
So we're looking at what do we want to centralize, but what do we still want to have on department heads to keep them responsible for their department and for the finances of their department. So some stuff we want to centralize, some stuff we still want to keep within those directors and department heads and elected officials that aren't the three of us, so that there's some responsibility there. We don't want to just pack it all into finance and finance does it all, and then department heads go, well, I don't know where finance department takes care of that, and I don't know where so there needs to be give and take. They need to just kind of like maybe being married, and one of you takes the checkbook, the other one has not a clue as to where you're at in the finances, right? So there needs to be the give and take, and there.
But what we are doing, and thanks for what you are, we are having now, like he said, a quarterly report, and each department head has to be standing on how they're spending their money for that. We can tell what's running hot, cold, they move money around within the department. But if they get to a point on one of our reviews, the quarterly or the midterm, then we can move money as commissioners from one bucket to another if it's necessary, without going into reserves or something else. So we're all part of the managing of resources process, like a corporation, like another government agency, and doing it correctly.
Yes, sir.
And I'll add one thing there is that as this, I'll call it oversight or transparency, comes in, we're not getting something at the last minute saying this has to be done by Friday. As we have these quarterly reports, we can see something coming before we have to react.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Lisa's up, but she's not on, so.
She's not on.
Nope.
Okay.
just send in a report.
So this is,
Stick around.
thank you, Vernon. This is Redlands Accounting and Advisory report. Benji Wood, who works for Lisa Hamon, and I were at the county Monday through Thursday of last week working on audit prep. Vernon Roth, Commissioner Epp, and I met with Sam DiNardo to discuss timing for the current year audit and address pain points from previous audit cycles. Our goal is to make this year's audit process more efficient. So I'll stop there. And so we did meet with Sam DiNardo over Zoom or over our phones, and we said, hey, we're preparing our goals to be ready by April 1st. He can't tackle us until after he's done with the April 15th tax cycle, because he does a lot of individual citizens' returns. So after that, he's going to take a few days off, and then he's going to gather his team up the week after April 15th, go through how they want to tackle their next projects, and then start ours on the 28th. I believe that's the Monday after they're going to get back together as a team, and then they're going to start our audit. So it gives us a little time in case we have missed something, but we're going to start sending them information around the April 1st to go through this. The key pain points identified based on our conversation with the auditors. Previous audits have encountered challenges with grants receivables and revenues, accrued liabilities for compensated absences, compilation and reconciliation of the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So we're now in contact with all of our departments to make sure that we are ahead of this and that we're gathering these up. And this is part of our workflows too that we're trying to develop, so that we're not sitting trying to gather this January and February. We're going to do this quarterly going through the year. And hey, if this ends this date, let's get all the information right after we're done with it so we can move on with it and we can already have it ready for the audit. We're taking a systematic approach by moving through the balance sheet for each of the funds and reconciling each of the balance sheet accounts, following a structured workflow that my staff and I have created that mirrors the approach the auditor will take in testing the county's balances, dedicating 2 staff members to this project through the end of March, providing journal entries to Vernon as misstatements are identified, creating work papers for the auditors to test our reconciliations. We've created a folder in secure portal and share file so that county staff, Redlands accounting staff, and Sam DiNardo's team can upload and access audit information. Timeline, reconciliation process to be completed by March 31st, 2025. Audit work to commence around April 15th after the auditor's tax season, probably around April 28th. And then target completion date for the audit is July 31st. I'm pushing for a report back to the commissioners on the 23rd of July, or the day after. We have a BOCC meeting that day, but I don't want to make that part of a BOCC. I want that to be its own meeting like we did last year.
Did we get it on Bernardo's calendar? We booked for him to come in at a certain date yet?
28th is, he's going to review, but the 28th is when we think he's going to start on our stuff. And that's why the sooner we can get all the information to him, the sooner he can review it and see how he wants to
other
tackle.
counties and other support that he's got.
Yeah, so we just want to get on his radar the first and foremost and start this process. And then if he can identify things early on, we have earlier access to be able to go and find that stuff that we may have missed. But he gave us 10 or 12 points a couple years ago, and we've probably made, I don't know, that's probably morphed into about 10 sheets worth of stuff,
Checklists.
of checklists that we need to be working through. So it's kind of where we're at with that. Monitoring and bringing in all of these things into our AP tech has allowed Kristen and I to go, oh, wait a minute, hey, this is a fuel bill, and it's coded to operating supplies, And so it allows us to easily, because that was happening a lot in the past, but things were getting coded wrong. And then all these adjusted journal entries at the end of the year that Sam DiNardo used to do, but now that Vernon and Lisa are doing, is we're now able to catch those before they even go into the system and go, wait a minute, this needs to be recoded, so we don't have to do adjusted journal entry at the end of the year. All those created a lot of cost at the back end, so.
Okay,
I don't know.
you got a question?
There you go.
No, we're good.
Anybody out here? Good, thanks. Good job, Vernon, thank you, and Lisa, we'll give her belated thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, up right now is the VSO. He is not here today, so I'll step through a couple things. Everybody knows how energetic Dominic is and has done a great job for the veterans of this county. One of his pride and joy things that he does is make sure that people that are eligible to get more disability money and those kinds of things that they hadn't even thought they deserved or had earned happens. So let me give you an example. Between the 1st of this year and now, or the 28th of February, and projected through the end of 25, he has brought in a combined projected increase in those 2 months of $243,328.22 for 29 veterans that didn't realize they had that much more money coming. So you divide that up, 29 into that amount. That's a pretty significant increase in their pay that goes tax-free in addition. And so that means that that was 29, but there's a total of 195 veterans to date that have been receiving those rated decisions for a grand total of $728,814.16. To include some couple of people from Utah, Texas, California. I don't know how they got in here to do that, but that's pretty cool. But he's and they've heard him say he's knocked off out of county work because it's just so overwhelming.
All but the surrounding counties.
Except for the surrounding counties. Also, there's more than just that. He also is, we have several grants that he's working off, and the 30K was awarded 10% for marketing. Assisted 11 veterans for $12,000, just besides the disability. There are people that can't afford buying some food. Working on that kind of stuff is really fantastic. And then he's always out there doing other things. He's glad to take donations. He's received 7 donations for a total of $4,000 since his last report, and assisted 5 individuals with $2,000 worth of help. And there's $2,000 more available from just charitable donations from the community. Other activities coming up, in American Legion post meetings he goes to, that kind of thing. Board of Veterans Affairs meeting. And Wetmore Walk and Claims Clinic that he holds down in Wetmore. Keep up the good work, and you'll hear at the end of the month the rest of the story. That brings us up to speed. Any questions? Go ahead.
I want to make a comment. We were very lucky to have him.
Oh, yeah.
He's an amazing man, and he has helped me tremendously.
There isn't a person that meets him that would disagree. Thanks for saying that.
I make a motion that we recommend, or that we sign the CVA 26 to get reimbursed by the state for his services.
Second this, baby. You got a second?
I'll second that.
You're the vet that can do
I
that.
know.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the CV 29. Is that what it's called? For this, and all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, cancel. Okay, thanks. All right, let's take 5 real quick and we'll be back. 16, good, that's moving right along here.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Okay, next up would be Human Services, DHS. So who's gonna read that?
I will
You got
take
it,
that one
right?
on.
You got it, it's on your watch.
Yeah, Custer County Department of Human Services, this is the February 2025 information. And just a few of the highlights is, the main ones are that the amount issued dollar-wise is, what is that? That's $147,693, and year-to-date, we're at 132.50 cents. So we were under budget on that, which is good to date. Child welfare intake referrals, we had 5 referrals total. And in APS, which I'll have to look up what that word means, but total referrals 4, screen 2. So we actually screened 50% of, and child.
APS is Adult Protection Services.
Adult Protection.
Yeah, adult protection service, I was gonna look at the next page. And open cases, we have, with legal authority, we have 1. Open cases without legal authority is 0. Total ongoing cases is 2. Child support services, caseload count is 73. Monthly collections, $14,580.80. Year-to-date collections is $64,583.88. And without going into all the graphs and everything, that's just a recap of the summary. And any further on that, Lucas or Bill?
No, it's nice to have the child welfare, APS, and child support services as part of our report now.
Yeah, so,
And those dollar figures that he read off, include all the things that, like TANF, childcare, leave,
right.
etc. That's
Yeah,
pretty-
the nice
pretty good
part
load.
is the being under budget so far. That's all I have. Any questions?
Question, Jim?
Yeah, man, so do we have a new person that's leading that department?
Yes.
Vicky White,
Vicky White, and she came from.
Fremont County.
And her,
Yeah.
and her qualifications are,
She was one of their 4 directors of DHS at Fremont County. So they have a director and then they have 4 people under and they each take a category.
so she's a highly qualified individual that came from a budget of how much? What was their budget?
Several
I want to
million.
say 14 million was their budget.
Her budget
12 to
alone,
14.
Jim, was like $2 or $3 million bucks, and she had her own fleet of vehicles she had to maintain, 4 buses and things like that. Very
I'm gonna
experienced.
say, I'm gonna give you kudos for another good hire. I don't know how she found Custer County. I don't know how.
She lives here.
She lives there.
She lives here.
She's been working.
Really?
For
So I'm bringing
Canyon.
these things out and trying to compliment you.
You didn't put a road close
Well,
to
we did.
her
Because
commute
I
to
know,
work.
I know who she is, I understand all this.
But we
I
put the
just
word
wanted
out.
to- Anytime we have a positive to accent, we need to accent the positive here.
That's right.
In my opinion.
Good.
Thank you guys, that's
Thank
a
you.
good hire, and you guys are doing
Yeah,
good.
she's doing
Thanks,
well.
Jim.
She's sitting in the saddle now, started in December and has hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and oversight with it, I see her at least twice a week. I walk in there and just get an update of what's going on in there.
It's in his line of business.
Yeah,
All right, next up is Road and Bridge.
you have.
I got that. And you can't, remember?
I know.
Vince is not here right now, but Vince is really proud of what's going on because if you remember back, I'll talk about the trailer that we bought, got a deal on, and they've got it in the shop right now. It's welding on some of the cracks and fixing it all up, and what a great buy that was. I looked at it yesterday, and he wants to paint it, put a road and bridge sign on it, and make it a good advertisement for the county because it's a great belly dump.
Yeah.
The other thing, we've got a roller that died, and the engine, a three-cylinder Cummins that just started knocking real bad, and that's critical that we have it for the spring and on for the rest of the
Yeah,
year.
that's a tire roller, by the way. Not a drum.
Not a drum.
Well, it was,
It's the
it
back.
was drum.
It was a drum on the
front,
back.
Oh, that's right.
Tire back.
It is.
It is a drum.
It's our main roller that we really need.
Correct.
But then there was the day of infamy that happened that you heard the coroner talk about. It wasn't just the fire. When that fire occurred, it was also, if you recall, there was a big storm, ice storm. Roads were really iced up. And as they went out to service that fire, the fire trucks slid into a tree, the pickup that he had. And right behind that was the water truck that was going to hose down, be there for the fire. And that truck, fences, rolled off the side and broke the tank and injured the driver a little bit. As he was injured when he let himself out of the seat and fell onto the ceiling or onto the side and bent his neck a little bit. He's okay, but he was bruised up. And on top of that, as the sheriff was rolling in, deputy, that sheriff's vehicle slid into a tree right in front of it and broke up the front bumper. So that was a bad one. But good news is things were repaired. The sheriff had a spare bumper push on that he picked up off of some other deals that he's been cutting with the other departments. The water truck has been repaired, is being repaired. It's if you want to go look at it, you can go see it sitting in the yard. And the tank's got a big hole in it, but it looks like, based on the estimates and what they've got going, it's gonna be repaired. I forget how many $1,000 he said, but it sounds like a lot, but for what the damage it was, it knocked off the front headlight, the mirror, and on the side that it was on, and put a hole in the tank.
It's gonna need a new bonnet also.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be around $20,000 worth of work, but they're doing it, and the tank will be restructured and repaired, so it'll be back in service. Good truck. It was on the side, he turned it off right as it hit the ground on the side, and it's no damage on the engine or the transmission. And I'll give you just a second, Jim. And let's see, other than that, he's preparing to hit the ground rolling again.
Yeah.
If you hadn't noticed, you probably haven't, if you don't live off of the Macy Lane heading east and west, I mentioned this the other day, we knocked the speed limit down to 35 on the whole road for now. It was because we ran out of time in the spring, and that shoulder that they had just asphalted up to prepare it for chip seal was finished, but we couldn't finish the job, so it looked like it was incomplete. It was incomplete. Wanted to slow everybody down so that as it's thawing out, knock the shoulder back down before they get a chance to get on there and get the chip seal on. That's through to Schoolfield. But after that, it's probably going to remain 35 because there's a lot of Amish kids going back and forth in their buggies. And then school, as well as ranchers coming out of the sides, and the people coming out off of Horn Road in the Horn Creek area. Lots of them go down the hill to 35 miles an hour, and they tend to get going a little fast. They turn the corner and they speed up from there, and they've been going 50, 60 miles an hour. So slowed it down for a while. And that's the end of his report. Jim.
Yeah, Jim McMahon, Phil, does our insurance cover some of that damage on that truck?
If we turn it in, self-insured, yes. And same with our cars.
Deductible's
Deductible is
$1,500.
$1,500.
So we will be turning it into
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, I'm gonna be paying $1,500 to finish fixing it up. But the good news is, it's not total amount. So it does cost money, because usually when you total out a car, it's not, you don't get the money that it's worth.
And it's fixable.
Okay, any other questions? All right, next down the sheet. Planning and zoning, go ahead.
Planning and zoning side, we had a workshop the other day, just gather information, everything about disposal of waste. We also went into trying to get a master plan put together and update our actual hand booklet, or whatever you want to call it, our standard operating procedures booklet for planning and zoning. And that's under review right now because it is a little bit outdated. And with what's going on today, I had quite a few conversations with Dorothy on that. Other than that, a little bit on the revenue side of the house. In February is up $12,892.85 from 2004. And 2025 February was $39,063.45. And 24, that was February also, and it was $26,170.60. So as you can see, the costs are starting to rise a little bit there from the year previously. So just made note of that. Where she's at? We did septic tank inspections. 7 of them have been inspected. 5 special conferences, 6 compliance inspections, 3 violation reviews, and 1 septic contractor test given, permits issued during the month. The septic permits were in 24, 4, and 25, we have 7 already. Zoning permits, we have dwellings, we have 20, in 2024, we had 8, currently in 25, we have 5. Non-dwellings, 24 was 6, and 25 is 12. And total zoning permits that were issued are 14 in 24 and 17 currently this year. Permits issued year to date, septic tanks for 24 is 8, 25 is 11. Zone permits, dwellings were 11 for 24, 8 for 25. Non-dwellings, 17 and 24, we're at 22 for 2025. And total zoning permits were 28 and 24 and 30 and 25. So the trend's starting to be picked up a little bit. I asked her about why that happened, and there's no answer there. So we're starting to see a little increase in people with permits being issued and inspected.
Might be the weather, not as bad.
Either that or it's getting scary down the hill, one of the two. Anyway, other than that, there's some other dollar figures on there, it breaks it down a little more and everything, but says everything's running smooth. We're trying to iron out a few things with the changes in that book to get it more up to date. So that's all I have on zoning and planning.
Question, Jim?
So is that Dorothy that runs that,
Karsten?
Karsten? Did she implemented you're gonna have to pay your use tax, right? Before you get going? So let's just say you anticipate spending $200,000. Yeah.
It's the sales tax.
They call it something, some kind of tax.
It's the use tax.
So she pre-collects that on an anticipated deal. Am I right?
Yes.
It is paid up.
So that procedure, once it was implemented, has caused the collection of that revenue to come up dramatically.
For the county, instead of giving it to Pueblo or Canyon.
Correct.
That's what I'm getting
true.
at.
Yes.
So she has absolutely carried her weight here with implementing that.
Mhm.
So I want to give her some kudos too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Okay,
Online.
thanks. Okay, thanks. Okay, up next, airport. That'd be me. All right, this is the airport manager's report, and I'll hit some of the highlights. Pretty much, it's similar to what it was last month. Fuel sold 215 gallons because it's been too cold to fly and too miserable. Not a lot there. fuel revenue was $1,000, $113. Keeping the price steady at 5, and that's good because the price is gonna go down more. We're competitive with Fremont County and even Walsenburg. Walsenburg's the only county that's nearest that actually, the county subsidizes the fuel, so they bring it they're like 50 cents lower than we can go. Just because they bring in people, and it's hard to believe because our airport, you're close to town, we have a courtesy car, and you can get somewhere and do some neat sightseeing. Walsenburg, the airport's right off I-25, right before you get to Walsenburg, and it's not a lot to see and no courtesy cars. Interesting. Jet A tank has been delivered. If you haven't driven by it, you ought to take a look at it. It's a nice tank set up. Problem is we've got a problem with the electric finishes have to be run yet, and the stuff to the pump and the meters. Second problem is the replacement of the cabinet housing, the over wing hose reel. It was all wrong stuff. They delivered the wrong stuff that didn't fit. They had to reorder even the reel, so they're going through that. So that should happen soon, and that'll be functional. They'll be able to deliver the Jet A once that's installed. Alan Altman has finished, was hired to do last year to survey the airport and provided them with a updated plot survey so we can finish renting the bigger hangars on the east-south end of the field. We got a candidate, actually a hangar that they want to build, one of the big ones for Falcon aircraft size, which is like a small jet, passenger jet with about 15 people you can put in it, or not quite 15, 12. So that's good news. Modification of the gates for the game fence is complete. On Monday, the 3rd of March, Jeremy Craig, the contractor, was hired to finish the gate modifications. Informed Clyde Butler, our operations manager, that he was starting fabrication in additional aluminum pieces for that gate to make them high enough so the deer don't congregate there and get in anyway. So that's good as well. And what else can I say? The AWAS was inspected and upgraded. That's the all-weather observation system. And new guard on it. And everything's normal. 3 windsocks are in good condition. John Deere tractor is fully functional, which has been a problem. Snow plow and blade was installed. We're getting ready for mowing when it comes up here in the spring. And the skid steer is fully functional as well. And they finally got all the things fixed on the Yukon functional. Durango courtesy car is fully functional too. End of report. Any questions?
No, but I have a statement. So Tourism Board has
Oh,
been
that's a good one,
helping
too. I meant to bring that.
the airport board to update their website and bring it up to date. So thank you to the Tourism Board for being willing to work with our airport board to.
Yeah, and in addition, they're helping, tourism's helping them with a website and things that can show the life in the airport kind of thing. It's being worked on now. It's a little more PR for the people coming in here, which is tourism, is helping it as well.
Give another avenue to come up to
Beat right
West Cliff and see our fine county.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. All right, any questions? Thank you, and thanks to Deb for the help as well.
She's online.
Okay, next up, landfill call.
Is Brian on board?
He was.
He was online.
Yeah.
Is he a comment or?
Let him-
He has a written report, he got it in.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and recap the landfill. It's from Brian. The landfill received approval of the area fill phase 1. And we started pushing trash in phase 1 on 3/18 of this year. and we'll be beginning construction on phase 2 when we get the scraper later this spring. So it's just ongoing operations of the landfill and trying to get things done on a timely manner and be ready for when spring hits with our increase in volume. The landfill received the 2024 financial assurance calculations from VSP for the closure and post-closure care costs. And those calculations are good for 5 years. So just a little bit of planning ahead, getting things done out there. Kudos, Brian. Anyway, the rest of the report is what was processed through the landfill and everything in numbers. I have the report if you still want to see any of it. Site inspections is in that report. Maintenance, repairs, vegetation and soil reports, and then just being open. And remember that when the wind picks up, we have to stop the dumping in the pit. We can still take hauled into the building itself and unload, so you can still have the regular bag trash put into those, but the actual dumping in the pit when we get high winds. Brian, remember the knots on the wind, how fast it has to be? Are you there?
You dropped off.
You dropped off. I believe it's right around that 25 to 30 mile an hour, they'll actually close the pit and not be able to, they'll actually turn people away because they can't go out there and dump because it will not stay in the pit. It will blow away, and but it will still be open for dropping off other debris at the building. So that's all I have unless there's any questions. Jim?
Yeah, Jim McMahon, do we line those out there? Are the holes lined with anything, or is it just we dump we dig a hole and we put it on the dirt?
And it's back, yeah. Go ahead.
You
answer.
It is open. There is not a liner, but it's strictly non-permitted in the pit to have any liquid. Okay, so for instance, paint. If you had leftover paint when you painted your house, it is a hazmat if it's in the paint liquid stage. But if you open the lid and let it dry, that is acceptable in the pit. And it can be crushed down because it's dry. And where they screen it and everything is to make sure that there's not anything like milk or any kind of liquid that would actually seep into the ground out there. It's dry. So there's no contamination or anything that would filter through where the liner would be
We got
necessary.
inspection wells out there too.
Yeah, and the other thing with lining is they're so expensive to line it, just to dump everything into it. And then a lot of it would become hazardous and hard to be able to be authorized to cover it. And
That was just a question from another person that couldn't be
That's
here
right.
today. They wanted to know if it was lined,
it is not lined, no.
so.
Starting pretty soon, we'll be opening up the big pit.
Right. And that's just to the south east of the current pit that's being operated.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, moving right along up to Lucas now.
Lucas.
Custer County Recycles, or more appropriately called Waste Diversion. Tim Harmon and Steve Wilkerson pretty much maintain that and operate that facility. In 2024, the total was 308 bales of all materials produced. Year to date, today for all materials through February is 43 bales. We did 21 bales of all materials produced in January. February, we did 22. Cardboard at 12,000 or at 1,200 pounds per bale. Our February price was $70 per ton. Year to date on cardboard, 33 bales produced. 15 of those in January, 18 in February. Mixed paper, that's weighed out at 1,400 pounds per bale. We get $55 per ton was February's price. We've done 5 bales produced year to date through February, 3 bales in January, 2 in February. Aluminum, 650 pounds on average. February's price was 70 cents per pound. We take that down to Dionisio's in Pueblo. 3 bales produced year to date, 2 in January and 1 in February. And then steel, 1,250 pounds average weight per bale, and we're getting $130 per ton. We did 2 bales produced so far this year, 1 in January, 1 in February. Sales revenue for all materials year to date is $6,200. With this that we've done, we were probably around a week away from deciding what we were gonna do with the landfill. Trench I was a week away, and that was where we were dumping, and we hadn't gotten approval on the new area fill. So diverting this waste over the last year and a half appears that we saved from having to either transfer the trash out or have to close the dump or whatever we were gonna have to do, but kind of kept us from having to make other decisions, so. That's all I get for recycling.
If I can add to that, all those tonnages you just heard Lucas read off did not go in the pit. So it prolongs the time frame that we have a pit available before we have to close it up and move on to another location on the property. And if you've seen the video on, I believe it's Facebook, it's one of the sites where the truck with the bales of cardboard were actually turning at the 4-way stop. And they made mention that that was all recyclable cardboard that went out. So if you take that full tractor trailer load of cardboard alone, not counting the aluminum and the steel and everything else, and add it to our pit, we'd already be moving to the other end to a new pit. And so that's what that does. It helps not filling the pit up with stuff that we can actually get paid to turn over.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, there was a concerned group of citizens up here, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, founded Sustainable Waste, remember that, Bill? And that was one of our concerns, is that we kept as much stuff out of that landfill and buy us some time. So thank you, Lucas, for doing this. I don't know what the cubic feet are, or the cubic yards that you kept out of it.
We wanna sit down between Brian and Tim and I and try to come up with that and see what we saved for actual cubic yards out of the pit, basically, and bring that back to the citizens.
So what happens to the money that's generated?
Pays for the bales to go to Oklahoma.
No, it pays for recycling. It pays for part of
It pays for
recycling's wages
yeah,
and
it does.
operating expenses.
So we've created a job or two in recycling, is that what we've
Couple.
done?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yes, sir.
they're county employees?
Yes, sir.
So it's really no money and no profit involved?
We didn't make any profit on it.
No, it costs us. It probably, and we don't know exactly yet because we've not done this exercise. We need to see what it's saving in landfill from the extra expense of compacting it, putting dirt over it, longevity, and we haven't done that exercise yet.
Okay, so there's a principle behind recycling as well, which is a cool thing. Might just be a feel-good thing, I don't know what kind of impact, but by the time you use the fuel and everything, I don't think you're lifting the carbon footprint very much. But if it's buying us some time out there,
That's the big deal.
That's probably what it's.
is that the residual value? Because if we're paying out, it looked like I was thinking, wow, we're getting extra money coming in, they're volunteers doing all this stuff.
No.
But that's not the
No,
case.
no, no.
So we've created a job.
Yeah, we've got another department, basically.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
One thing to add there is that the amount that is being recycled, we hope to increase the awareness that we are recycling, because some of the things that we are recycling is making it into our pit. Non-liquid though, that's all I know.
I mean, cardboard.
Well, it's cardboard, steel, aluminum,
Yeah.
all those others.
Yeah, there's still some people that would rather pay to dump their cardboard or recyclables, and hey,
That's up to them.
right now, that's your choice, we're not monitoring that, we don't, we would have to spend more to monitor that, so. Doesn't make sense at this
Or
point.
People have taken advantage of it though, those trailers get full.
Yes.
Nadine,
Nadine Peterson. So, the amount of money that's received from this recycling and all the other good things that come because of recycling, that money, does that take care, I mean, we have to pay to have the trucks come and haul it away. So how does that work?
So we don't pay the trucking firms that come in and pick up the product, they're paying us for the product and they're minusing they pay for their own shipping. So if you're a paper mill and you're going out to a broker to pick up, they're gonna pay that shipping cost from Custer County to their paper mill or wherever the product's gonna get.
Okay, so that's taken out before we get the reimbursement?
right, we break even on it. We don't
So
pay for
that
the shipping.
$26,000 roughly provides a quarter or less of the total budget for recycles. Their budget's around $100,000 operating costs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Nope, online.
Nobody?
All right, moving along again. Next up, we've got the OEM. She's not here today, conference, so I'll go through some highlights real quick on the Office of Emergency Management. So we did have a workshop with the OEM, and the district OEM came down as well. Christy Coleman, elected officials disaster workshop, where we sit with the departments and the other players and go through a scenario, either a flood or a fire, and go through the process and keep training up on that. It was very useful. Includes the Forest Service and other agencies as well. That was back in first part of March, and then they went on further working with Pueblo and Beulah and the U.S. Forest Service on a what they called an exercise for Lake San Isabel Lake exercise on it. And Incident Command Center training workshop is scheduled for April now. They've been trying to get that on. And then finally, the Colorado Emergency Management Conference in February. Actually, she had attended, and along with the state. No cost lodging, and one representative per county for 3 nights. So she was out doing that to update things with the current staff here. Okay, she still has an issue with staffing, and we haven't approved the job yet. She's looking for a mitigation and EM, emergency management specialist, job description to be approved by us, so we'll wait for her to bring that in. Grant-wise, what the most recent thing, what we approved a few days ago was a quick one
On the gas mask.
on
for
the
sheriff.
gas mask for the sheriff. $15,000 grant, and hopefully it's been granted before for other things, but that would be a great addition as well. And I personally wanted to have her do more work on outreach on the wildfire capability, what should be done, and have more meetings in town here and in other places to bring people in and let them know what's available for fire mitigation for your own properties, as well as on our roads and right-of-ways as well. So she's got that in the plan. Community wildfire protection plan and mapping is in progress right now. She's working on it. monthly meetings with Custer County Public Health Agency in coordination with the American Red Cross. And also, she's in charge of all our radios, and I haven't seen much on that yet. Have you?
No, but that's gonna be a priority one when she gets back.
Because it's, and they're expensive. They all are out of date. Most of them are. And you know what a handheld radio costs.
Yeah.
And we're not doing away with the repeaters. We can't, because we have too many places that can't be reached line of sight.
District 2.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got. Anything else? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Jim McManigan. Are the people that that need fire mitigation, that live in the woods up here, is that gonna be enforced somehow, where that fire mitigation has to take place?
So that's a good question, because the Forest Service always has controlled burns in those areas as well. And they work in cooperation with that. But as far as forcing somebody to do it, we don't do that. We have the opportunity to have them come in and understand if they don't, they can't get insured in some cases, you know, things that can happen, and they get a lesson on how to do it and what's available to have them, from a grant point of view, come out and get some help as well. So that's why I wanted to make sure that the word gets out.
So that chipper's available for folks that are doing that?
No, the chipper's available to have it done, and the county operates that, but yes, to clear the rights of ways, and part of the program, she's working with the veterans to help get the logs that are too big to chew up, to volunteer to help get that out and give the firewood to the veterans. Program to do that.
And does that also have a dump trailer too, where this stuff can be hauled away, the chips can be hauled away?
That was one of the things she wants to get, but
She does have a dump trailer.
she's got the dump trailer, but
Yeah.
So we bought a dump trailer and a chipper,
Yes.
and now we're gonna hire somebody to help us.
no, we have the
She's got a team of mitigation people that'll do it. And then if we go for this grant will help pay to bring in, hire people and do our escape routes and right-of-ways through some of these areas.
right.
So we're gonna, this grant, the enterprise grant, which is paid for through the $2 that is assessed to everybody's homeowner's insurance since,
20, it's been
I don't remember
10
when they
years.
started that $2, but they've now, that fund has grown, and now they've decided this is how they're going to release it, is by granting it in
giving it back to the
portions.
citizens they took it from.
Right.
So that's what we're plugging into?
Yeah.
That money was already paid by the taxpayers, and
Correct.
now we're gonna try to get it back here?
Yep,
Yes.
and it's a big grant. There's under 800,000, and there's an over 800,000, and we applied for the under 8, and roughly $790,000 bucks.
So, but you mentioned something about the forestry and whatnot. I was talking about individual homeowners that have
Yeah,
a
Yes.
lot of fuel around their house.
yep,
It sounded like it was gonna be a rule or a law that they had to take care of that stuff, and that way you guys are stepping up to be able to help those individual landowners.
again, we've been doing that in the past with the conservation grant that we had as well, to help mitigate that fire with the landowner.
So now that the weather and stuff's cleaning up, we're gonna use that as a priority, get people out there and really make a difference.
That's why we want to get them on the stick.
She has a list of the priorities, areas that are high risk.
Starting there, and she's gonna work her way around.
Take the high
Both
risk
sides of
areas
the mountain.
first, yes.
And the majority of that's up on the west side there?
That's
making
a
sure we-
higher risk.
That's,
But that goes across all the whole valley. We'll have to show you the plan. When was that? We had a workshop
she's
on
getting
that.
maps made up for, you can actually see, and might have it here with a presentation of where the most critical areas are currently, and then go into phase 2 and 3. The other thing, to capitalize on what he said about roads being improved, okay, it's not the county roads, it's the private access to a bottleneck or a fire hazard area is where that money's going. It's not coming to.
Egress, ingress on a subdivision, but by might be,
Because some of these roads that are privately owned, you can't even pick up with a stock trailer into the area. And so they're gonna be doing some widening and everything of access to, so they can get out if there's a
or
fire.
just mitigating the brush on each side of it.
Correct.
And we're working somewhat in conjunction with the people that do this for a living.
Yeah, oh, and then the big issues are, yes, they put that out for bid, and then professional loggers come in and do it.
Yeah, we've got professional fire mitigators up here.
Yeah.
But now,
Several
you
companies.
think about just the road improvement, okay, where they're not bringing their own crew up here. The state's not gonna give us a crew to make these private roads accessible. It's gonna be out for bid, I understand.
It is on the bigger pictures, and our
So-
county grant that we're doing is the county right of ways in the heavy forested
So
areas
it's-
or
we're
brush
working
areas.
together. We'll be
So we don't
working-
get trapped in a fire. That's what I'm getting at.
Right,
Yeah, okay, so that's gonna be up for bid for the men that do it, that are licensed, insured, and qualified?
so it's understood and set up, yes.
We're not in the business to do that. Okay, good question, thank you, Jim. And Jim?
Jim Shaplin, just quick comment there. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, my insurance company sent out a gentleman to walk around the property with me and tell me what I needed to do for
Yeah.
mitigation.
Right.
Correct.
Which if I didn't do, of course, then I needed a new insurance company.
Yeah, or a new
Yes.
home.
Or a new one that burns down, yeah.
Okay. All right, CSU Cooperative Extension.
Yes, I have that one on it. Reggie is not currently here, so I'll recap the report. This is the 4-H leadership development, and in February 21st and to the 23rd, I lose my voice, they had a senior member and gathering out in Kiowa County, and the South Central District retreat was given out there. Then February 28th through the 30th, 11 to 13-year-old members were at the Pueblo for the Youth Fest 25 at the Colorado State Fairgrounds. And I understand that was a success. Last BOCC meeting we had, Eagle Scout do a presentation, and I'll recap what that was about. One of the 4-H members is also working to get his Eagle Scout badge. And he did a presentation last board meeting, and he's building a gazebo that will go on to the fairgrounds in time for the 25 fair. And so he's a good person. Most of you seen him last meeting. County Director's annual meeting was held. It was a week-long conference in Fort Collins. Reggie attended that, and that was a guest speaker up there was the CSU officers of Extension Vice President was there, the CSU President was there, and the outcome of that was that they were talking about the grants and budget cuts and everything, and underlined here is no short-term impact for Custer County due to those reductions.
Sort of implies there'll be a long-term impact.
Yeah, so currently on those, we have no idea what the grants are gonna be for the extension program. But Reggie is within her, it wasn't affecting us yet, probably because of our size, so we don't know. We're waiting for more information on that. I attended the Fair Board meeting, the last one they had, and they just want to put out that official dates have been set, approved, scheduled for the 2025, July 11th through the 20th here in Custer County. And then the 4-H coordinator vacancy, we have applicants. We are interviewing those the 31st of the month and the 1st of April, and hopefully fill that vacancy so we can get on with 4-H business. Spring break's gonna bring a little surprise, is that So the office is going to be closed Thursday, March 20th, and then through March 24th for spring break, and the actual office upstairs, this courthouse for extensions, will be closed. And that's the end of the report. Any questions? No? So be it.
All right, next up is the Custer County Kids Council, Lucas.
So Stacy Terrell leads our Custer County Kids Council. Trying to get through all of her acronyms here.
I wish they were here.
So she met with the public health director. They're planning some collaborative work. They both kind of pull from some of the same grant funding opportunities, so they really work together. She's kind of our liaison with the school as well. So working on that and just seeing what we can do. There was Senate Bill 25-119, which a lot of the large school districts was looking at, would have killed her funding here. It was going to go to the schools, but that bill got knocked out, and so she's still going to be our local advisor, which is a good thing, because otherwise it would have all went to a board of the state. And we'd have lost any control on that and lost the money as well. February 12th hosted open enrollment for families for the universal preschool programs for school year 25-26. Both of the half-day and full-day 4-year-old classes are full with waiting lists. Custer County Kids Council is collaborating on the work being done surrounding affordable workforce housing and is attending the monthly Custer County Workforce Housing Committee meetings. February 13th, quarterly CCKC meeting, Sarah Fisher with the Family Crisis Services, who will be here next month, presented on their program services and education opportunities. They're interested in expanding their support for Custer County families. So Stacy really cares about our children, really keeps us informed keeps me informed about what's going on somewhat with the school and what's going on with our children and our kind of our families that are in the workforce and what they're dealing with childcare. So thank you to Stacy.
Questions? Answers?
All
right. Jim?
Yeah, Jim Mannigan. Who is the public health director up here? Do we?
Sarah Bertelsen.
And then the three of you are the board?
Of health.
Of health?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay.
And he's the chairman of the board.
He's the chairman.
Lucas is the chairperson of the Board of Health.
Currently,
okay.
yes.
Correct. And just to add what Luke was talking about with the affordable workforce housing, we had conflicting meetings. He had 2 of them to go to at one time. And so when there's an absentee, I try to fill that void. So I went to that meeting on the actual affordable workforce meeting they had. So anyway, just to let you know that we're trying to stay as much informed out there as we possibly can with everything going on in the county. So,
okay,
little note there.
You say there's somebody online with a question?
No, yes.
Okay. All right, moving on again. Any unfinished business? I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
Okay. No. New business. Time for Kelly to talk. This is the Electronic Recording Technology Board Grant Award. Go ahead.
In January, I applied for this grant in the amount of $144,856.34, and received notification the other day that I was awarded the grant.
Good.
So now I'm just coming to you guys to accept the award so that we can get the money
And it's not a match either, is it?
no match.
It's zero match.
And these funds come from money that is taken in when people record stuff in my office. And so it's money that we generate, basically.
Through that fee, correct?
Mhm.
Might explain a little bit, why is it an electronic recording technology board?
So they developed this board, I want to say it's been 10 years ago, when they required us to have our recording stuff up electronically so that people could, well, not only people, but mostly the title companies and realtors and stuff, they can get online and look at our documents without having to physically come into the office.
Digitized it.
Yes, and it was a hardship for a lot of the small and medium counties to pay for the technology to be able to do that, and so they added this fund through statute, or added this fee through statute onto the recording fees so that they could establish this electronic recording board to manage those, and we apply for grants through that, to pay for recording stuff.
Does that imply that it expires at some point?
It does. It will, it was supposed to expire the end of this year, but they extended that. I believe we expire the end of 28 now.
And how are we coming along? Do we get most of it digitized?
Yes, so part of this grant that I applied for will finish up that digitization.
Yeah.
We had just a small amount of documents left that we had to scan, and I send those away to a different company, they scan them, and then another company inputs all of that, and then we upload it, so.
So we're almost done with the catch-up?
Yes.
Okay.
Should be done, I'm kind of hoping by the end of this year.
Good.
Sweet.
We'll make a motion. Then we'll discuss.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant amount, I don't have the amount.
$144,856.34. That's an odd number.
I know it is a weird number, and it's just because for the grant itself, I had to put in there that this was gonna cost me this much, and this was gonna cost me this much, and so
They just took it like it
comes
was.
down, yeah, and
Okay.
it probably won't, I won't even spend that amount, I'll probably spend a little less, but
Is it paid as you use it?
yes.
Reimburses?
So, well, we'll get the money, so as soon as you guys approve this, if you guys approve this, they will send you, Bill, they're gonna email you, cause it's an electronic signature
Right.
thing, so, they'll email that to you, you'll probably get it today or tomorrow,
Okay,
and you'll sign it. As soon as you sign it, they'll email the county a check for this amount, and then we have to put that into a separate fund and keep track of it, and I get audited, this board audits me.
do we return it if we don't use it?
Yes.
We're not gonna do that. Okay, I go ahead and reinstate my motion to accept the grant for $144,856.34, as the recorder has mentioned.
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Well, any questions, any discussion?
Jim.
Jim?
Yeah, Kelly, so you were mentioning that this was an accumulative, it just kind of accumulated as a savings?
Yeah, so, every time somebody comes in my office to record a document, like a deed or something, they pay a surcharge, a $3 surcharge. $1 of that stays in the county and helps me pay for certain things. $2 of that goes to the state, and that goes in this grant fund, and that comes from every county in the state. And so it's a pretty large amount of money. The majority of the people who apply for that are smaller counties and medium counties that don't have the money to, buy the computers and stuff that they need to do it. And so it,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my next question is you're going to pay professional people to copy, upload, and then, is that kind of how that's going?
yes,
You pay professional companies to
yes,
help digitize this
to
thing?
scan it, digitize it, upload it to my system, and then once we're done, we manage it.
Got it.
Or once they're done, we,
So that's a specialty that they do, you don't have to be involved in?
right,
Except to tell them where the documents are.
yeah.
One thing to add to that, what happens after? Do we get more of the $3 later on?
We can, yes, and, my plan is before the funds run out, or before we're done with those, collecting those funds, I'm about to the point where I need to update all my computers and stuff, and so, like, in this grant, I needed a new scanner, so I'll get a new scanner this time, but the next time I wanna apply for it and, get my equipment updated.
I just wanted to project it beyond the time that they're gonna take it away.
Yeah.
Okay, good question, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of accepting the electronic recording technology board grant as presented? Say aye.
Aye.
Paul?
Focus on aye.
Kanda, aye.
And Bill, I'll send you a text when,
Yeah, tell them.
when they're, and I've let them know so that you can watch for that meeting.
Okay,
Good job.
thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Next up is Lucas on this, changing the meeting dates for the BOCC
Yeah.
from Wednesday, or Thursdays to Wednesdays, and the Board of Health.
So my planning, our planning was, and this happened in December, roughly end of November, beginning of December last year, was planning for this year to have all our meetings here on Wednesdays and keep the Wednesday thing going. But this facility had already been taken and rented out, at least through May, on Wednesdays. So we just moved all the meetings to Thursday for the year. We're starting to run into, not horrendous conflicts, but we're missing CCI's legislative sessions where we have a voice and a vote to tell them how to lobby the House and the Senate on bills. And we're missing those Thursday meetings.
And other meetings, like, it's hard to get to the Conservancy District meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
For people.
The other thing is,
getting things done on Thursday after our meeting is on Wednesday, so.
Well, can't get stuff done on Friday because we're closed. So, sorry, makes sense. Go ahead, Lucas.
you finished it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all this is proposing that we go back out to John Genevieve that operates this place and ask him to reserve these dates
You think
starting May
dates are
28th.
available now?
As of the last time Caitlin and I talked to him, they were, so.
Okay. All right, then I'll move that we move the meeting dates from Thursdays to Wednesdays as you presented, still in this room. Got a second?
I'll second that motion to move our meetings from Wednesdays to Thursday in this meeting room.
Okay, any discussion?
Thursdays to Wednesdays. Thursday to Wednesday.
Yes.
Thursday to Wednesday.
Correct.
And we are working on a sound system to get the sound out there, so.
Jim, write it down in your notebook.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Thursdays to Wednesday.
Any more issue here?
No, sir.
Questions out there? Anything online? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Lucas.
Aye.
Paul.
Vogel, aye.
Candace, aye.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, we're getting
Thank you.
to the end of the road here. Any additional items to bring up, any comments? Okay, public comment, anything else out there? Anybody online? Good, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the challenge that we have on the sewage thing, that we could get a little bit of update on maybe your guys' research. You just found out about it, because you said about a week ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say, when I moved up here, like in 2000, we purchased some properties and built in Silver Cliff. But I was going to the Round Mountain water deal, Silver Cliff as well as West Cliff. The situation was grave then. We decided we wouldn't purchase or do anything in either of the towns because we had a sewage problem already. We fixed the water deal. We acquired water off the Johnson Ranch, augmented it to the wells, dried up the Johnson Ranch. So the water thing is good. It's the sewage, the sludge that's in that sewage now that's we're gonna have to dispose of somehow. And it sounded like we were gonna put it on the Johnson Ranch. And there's perhaps some forever chemicals in that sludge. I would like the three of you individually, if you could, can you report to us and let us know what your research has brought back? I know there's been mention that we may have to shut the towns down. That would be kind of a pretty big catastrophe. So the irresponsibility that's been going on here for years with the mayors in charge of the two towns, the commissioners in charge of the county, where are we losing it? Why are we not able to have enough money to correct this problem? We've had millions of dollars come in here in grant money. Can we recognize what's going on? Can we put our finger on where we're dropping the ball? Because if that stuff gets dumped over there on that ranch, I don't even want to think about what's going to happen. There's 20 to 70 million acres in the United States that's been contaminated with biosludge. And it's the same lagoon systems. And I don't think our waste is any different than anybody else's. And the EPA is given the green light on all of this. They said it was okay to do. And there's thousands of families now that had heritage ranches and farms. Their land is contaminated. They can't even walk on it. And it was okay through a test. They even had townspeople going out on knocking doors to the farmers and ranchers saying, look, we have a situation, we've got to dispose of our stuff. And they recruited these farmers and ranchers, guilted them into using this stuff. And it was free. So when free costs, or when savings costs is our whole livelihood, we have a pretty pristine valley here. I'd like to keep it. So I don't know if there's anything we can do, and I don't know what the timeline is or what the threat is. All I know is reading the papers, it seems a little bit suspicious on how fast this thing was moving. And we didn't have any idea about it. I think there was some kind of email that got to Dorothy at the zoning, and I believe she brought it to people's attention. Is that right or wrong?
Finish your comment.
So anyways, I would like the three of you to report to the community on where are we at with this? Where is your research? What is the threat? Do we have anything to be worried about? Who's going to be physically impacted? Is it close to a creek? You know, what's the particulars? Or if there isn't any of that being done, why isn't there? Because we're looking out after our livestock, because this stuff has killed animals, from fish to frogs to birds to livestock, as well as people. So we don't trust, the public trust has been completely thrown out the window. We have no trust in the government and the tests and the procedures that they're gonna allow, because the experiment's already been done. In my opinion, I researched this, I've known about it for years. I researched it, and it doesn't look like there's a good answer to putting that stuff out in the open. It needs to be treated as probably bio waste, some kind of hazardous waste. And some other people in this room may have a lot more knowledge than I do about it. But the community is definitely concerned about it getting into Gray. Macy Creek is right there. And then everybody that's downstream from that, I don't know how many thousands of acres that get water out of, I know the company ditch comes off of Grave there, and that's a lot, that covers a lot of the ranches here with flood irrigation. So hopefully we can get some kind of feedback that you guys are protecting us, doing your job, and interceding on our behalf. And if it's a threat, we need to recognize it. And if it costs the two towns or the district, the water district, a lot of money, that money means nothing to us. If it takes out our whole valley, that money is crazy cheap at this point.
Okay.
So that's all. There's
Okay.
a lot of people want me to come in and kind of hold your guys' feet to the fire on the leaders of the community. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your comment, and I'll make a quick comment before we do anything, and then we'll end this. But thank you, Jim. And yes, the minute I found out about it was the minute Dorothy got it, and she came to me, and I went immediately over it. The word was they're going to dump some sewage on your neighbor. And I said, what? And went out there, looked at the piece of ground, and understood, you know, I'm very familiar with the ground. It's Macy Creek, goes down and hits Grape Creek, and oh, by the way, it goes all the way to Kansas. So it's not just us that would be impacted, it's downstream. That's what water does. Anyway, no data per se, no decisions have been made. What we did immediately was call an emergency meeting of the board, and on Saturday, was it Saturday?
Friday morning.
Friday morning.
The workshop.
We went into there with Dave, the director of Round Mountain, and for data, we need data to make decisions, Jim, and we're not gonna leap and without the right information. And if we had to make a decision by Monday, we would. Turns out that they're not gonna start spreading anything until the May timeframe, maybe middle of May, as would be hauling the sludge out. We wanted to get information, and Dave was very good at providing us. We spent almost 3 hours with him on Friday. And so the plan forward is to get more information so we can make the right decisions and get the right things done. We called a meeting. It's on the paper today. It's on the email. It's on our websites. It's going to be on the 27th of March. Thursday at 5, I said 5 to 5:30, 5, in order to get the maximum number of people to come and get their input and an understanding. So the rumors are flying. I've gotten calls of people are saying, Cripple Kick's coming in here and gonna dump their sludge on our place. Well, we've got everybody we've invited in here, you know, like it's happened now. No decisions have been made either by Round Mountain or us or anybody, except Round Mountain has been working. The real issue started with the need for water for the town. And then they, like you pointed out, Jim, very rightly, is that they bought that ranch, dried it up, and enabled a well to be made so they could open up the water taps and start letting people start developing more in the towns. It impacts the mayors, it impacts us, and it impacts the county if they start dumping it. There already is a law, state law on the record that says that hazardous materials dumping is illegal, immoral, and unethical. You can't do it. And so in order to pass another rule that would say we're not going to allow it in Custer County, we would need to know the impacts entirely on the people of the county. And that's where we work as a board care. We need to be working with the mayors of the towns as well, and Round Mountain to decide what's moving forward. The need to dump the sludge was the first issue. Why are they doing that? And what data we got and understood is because the new technology is being developed so they can purify it and meet the state regulations to not allow, to allow the septic systems for the towns to work. Otherwise, they'd have to shut it down if they shut down the septic system that we currently have, which, by the way, hasn't been updated since 1991 is when they last cleaned the ponds down there. And for heaven's sakes, why did that happen? Just like you said, neglected over time, many years. So now we're here to pay the price. And so luckily, from Dave's explanation, I'm excited to hear more of it when they get this meeting underway. The technology that they've been working along with the state on grants from the state is going to allow them to actually purify this septic water from the towns to get the water out. They're not infusing it. They're not going to drain it into the creeks ever. They haven't been doing that anyway, except by the fact the ponds aren't really good enough to work to seepage issue possibly into the Great Creek. And so they have not been doing that for the last couple of years. They've actually been redirecting the water onto their own 40 acres out there, and we'll learn more about that, I hope, what they're going to do there. But the bottom line is this technology will allow almost 3,000 communities that have the same issue that we do with systems that can't handle it. And if it is successful, it will be a boom. So I want to know more about that process from Dave, and I want the citizens to have the ability to ask questions that night so that to everybody's benefit, they clear up anything they got issues with to understand the way forward. So that won't start. They've already got a company on contract to haul it out, the sludge that's there in the pond that they aren't using. They're part of it, and get that sludge out of there and dry it up. We'll know more about that on Thursday and how they're going to do that. And that company that's going to do it will be here to tell us. They do it professionally. They are all over the state. They've done 2,000 systems. I think it was that number. I can't remember. Close to it, and as well as other states that they work in as well. So that's Denali, and that's who will be presenting that. Dave Snyder will be doing his presentation. We'll introduce it, and he'll talk about the history of how we evolved from 1990 to now, and what happened with the septic system that both towns have. And so my view forward is something's got to be done. The sludge has to get moved out. It costs money to move it out. That was the most cost-effective thing that Round Mountain could afford right now. And I think they said they have a budget of what, $300,000, something like that. They have to operate and then haul this out as well. And to move it any further than where it is, they would have to get the money somewhere. It could cost $1 million to $2 million according to what we heard, to move it out of there, to go elsewhere. That could be something that could happen. We certainly don't want to dump anything more hazardous than what the state allows anyway. If it meets the state regs and then we're not satisfied with the state limits, we can discuss that, and we can get stiffer if we want to. We can change things. We can make them move it out of here if we see that's the right thing to do. We don't have enough data to make that decision yet. And then finally, if that were to happen, and the rumors keep flying, who knows what the impact would be if we can't get the money to take it out. And that can be a discussion on that night. Where would we go? Towns shut down or not?
Yeah, if I may just kind of reaffirm a few things. With our meeting with Dave Snyder, no discussion was being made about decisions. We were in a fact-finding mode at that meeting. And he was giving us information, capitalizing on what we've already did our research on and everything. And if I could just say that everything that we gather, we share. So if I find something that is there, we share information, but we don't discuss it with an end result of how we would either
Draw our
approve
own
it,
conclusion.
disapprove it, or whatever. That never came up in any of our meetings. And there is a rumor out there saying we've already made up our mind. That hasn't happened. At least I wasn't involved,
No.
and neither of them. And so just to reaffirm that we are gathering information so we can have an intelligent discussion on Thursday, because we're gonna be asking questions then also of David.
And we got time, if Dave had said, we're gonna dump it on Wednesday this week, we'd have said no. Immediately, because there's not enough information to do anything with.
Not enough.
You have the power to say no and shut him down?
Absolutely, well, we don't have the power to shut him down, we have the power to not let him put it on the ground here. And now if that means him having to go to the board there and get money from somewhere else and figure out where to dump it, that's up to him.
So what is that authority that is vested in the three of you that give you that authority to shut that district down from a private contractor?
We can deny.
With factual information to
And
make an
have to say,
intelligent
from our point
decision.
of view, we're not gonna allow it to happen in the county.
So if they were taking a truck out there right now and getting ready to haul it, right on the Johnson Ranch that they used to own that a guy bought.
Be against it.
How would you guys stop?
We would have stopped it.
No, how?
We would have had a meeting and we would have discussed it and.
How would you have stopped it? What tool in your arsenal would have stopped them legally?
Same thing we use all the time, on permits for anything. And if we passed that resolution, and if we said they can't do it, we would have to enforce it with the sheriff.
But the state says it's illegal.
So that was a resolution? You said you would pass it with a resolution?
That's what we normally do, or an ordinance.
With the,
So
with the
did
request
the
for.
attorney, click in on that? Was that a?
We haven't, not gonna talk hypothetically. We saw that there's time to understand it, and we're gonna do that, and then we'll work how we're gonna handle it if they decide they're gonna continue to do it. Period.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you, it's just you're getting some points there where I was asking you gentlemen on the phone prior to this meeting. Is there a way, and the only way I saw it without knowing that, just talking to a few attorneys, was you could do a resolution stating that it was not permissible to dump that sewage sludge anywhere in Custer County.
Would have to be specific and with the data to make that decision.
Justifiable facts.
Right. So that's all I was getting at, if there was a tool to protect us.
Remember, this is comments, and we could take it to.
Right, and then I wanted to hear from Lucas.
Not a
if
debate.
he had something to chime in.
So let's finish.
Let's get the comments in.
Public comment, then I'll make a comment.
Yeah, James Gilbert. Well, first of all, just a point of clarification, you'd have to write an ordinance.
That's I said, or an ordinance.
It would have to be an ordinance, because it would have to be enforceable.
That's right.
However, the workshop is a great idea. Your fact finding is a great idea. At the town hall, I sincerely hope you request documentation or references from folks providing information regarding the limits of contaminating stuff, as well as the issue of animal deaths because they put human sludge on their land. The application of human sludge as a fertilizing agent on land has been approved for a very, very, very long time. It's been used everywhere. And these hysterical comments about everybody dying need to be documented before you consider them. Don't take stories. The other thing is that the EPA is highly regulating human sludge for application as fertilizer, agricultural lands, and those limits and whatnot have been fully tested. sure, these stories will promulgate loss of faith in the identities. I'm more worried about the closure of the EPA by the current administration than I am the regulations that they have. So I would submit that as long as Round Mountain provides you with the appropriate data and the amount of sludge that they have, that the levels are met or exceeded, because with the county or the source of sewage you're talking about, the environmental contaminants that you're worried about are going to likely to be very low to start with. So that probably isn't a concern. But the other thing, the potential benefit for this whole thing, is you're going to have your wastewater sludge fertilizer, if you will, as a source of fertilizer to start replacing the synthetic fertilizers that are contaminating Lake Deweese. It almost could provide a positive improvement to the agriculture here in the county. So get all the data and make a considered opinion taking into account that which can be documented.
That's exactly what I'm gonna let Lucas talk here in a second. So your points are well taken, and that's in fact what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that's in our meeting, we did look at those contaminants. And recognized also the forever chemicals that everybody is talking about that don't dissolve, are always there and that kind of thing. Even like fluoride in your toothpaste. I mean, they found out there's too much fluoride in all the United States, so let's get rid of some of that. So that's part of what we will learn more of, and there'll be plenty of questions. As a matter of fact, what Caitlin put onto the meeting notice is that questions are going to be, it's going to be real regulated and very calm, and we're going to listen to the data and have written questions down as you're thinking of it and bringing them in here, and we'll get all the experts to answer those, including Dave, Round Mountain, Denali, et cetera, and anybody else that has a dog in the fight. So we're going to make this as informative as possible and keep the hysteria out of it. Lucas.
So I do have the analytical report
Right.
on the sludge. And I haven't deep dived into the numbers and figured out what all the information says yet. But that was done in April of '24. And if I remember what Dave's presentation is they will be testing again in April of this year. Their plan for Denali is to spray this biosolids, liquid biosolids on the property the last 3 weeks in May. The last I knew is there was not a contract signed between Round Mountain and Denali as of yet. I've reached out to public health and I says, research all of this, look into this, put information together in a packet for us. It brought up an interesting thought that what does our local public health have to do with environmental? What power do they have? What compliance issues? And how do we back those things all up? So we're looking into that. So public health I've got them looking into this. Landfill, I reached out to them because there was some comments made that why can't this just go into landfill? Our permit does not allow it. The CDHPE does not allow liquid waste, and it doesn't allow biosolids waste in our landfill.
Like the awful problem we had with Wet Mountain or Westcliff Meads.
I've talked to Dan Slater on Tuesday. He was saying that a resolution doesn't hold the legal weight to stop this from moving forward. But the Planning Commission does through changing our regulations and making biosolids fertilizer or biosolids, but you would need both terms in there, and making this to be processed through a special use permit. So I know that the planning commission, I believe, has this as now an item to look at on their workshop on this coming Monday's workshop meeting, Monday afternoon.
And I've asked Keith Hood to be at this meeting as well, from a planning commission point of view, so we're all covered, so everybody hears the same stories.
But again, it's on fact finding.
And by the way, Lucas pointed it out, there are trace elements of the forever chemicals that they have seen in this sludge. However, there's more of them in the Grape Creek as it is right now.
Already.
I've also did some research on companies that remove these PFAS. There's new technology coming all the time. There's a company that's in the States that can mobilize to your location to remove these. I haven't read into the technology yet, or even asked some of the guys in my past in the wastewater treatment facilities to see what they've seen. So I'm continuing to look into that. There is an EPA report out that Denali Water Solutions did have to pay $610,000 for alleged illegal sewage sludge application, and it was on the nitrates. It was not on the PFAS. So continuing to do research into it. I've got a book here on EPA and what they say about biosolids. So continuing to move forward in doing my research for future decisions that have to be made.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Okay.
Anything on? Nadine's got it.
Nadine has a question.
Nadine, I couldn't see it.
Oh, sorry.
Hold your hand higher.
She likes hanging out.
It's okay, Jim. She's standing there.
All right, yes, well, I did talk with Commissioner Epp yesterday, and he gave some of the updates there. And he encouraged, I think, citizens, if they want to contact the Planning Commission, you can get the Planning Commission emails from Lucas Epp or any of you. And my comment today would be that there's the two towns here, West Cliff and Silver Cliff, that is dealing with the disposal of sludge. We're not the only towns in the county that are dealing with this or will have to deal with it. So this is, I think, something that the county commissioners will have to deal with at some point.
Sure.
So getting the planning commission people up to date with what's required and having them set up regulations for handling of this biosolids, fertilizer, sludge, whatever. I think that's important to get so that you can deny a request for doing this.
Or approve it.
Or approve it, yes. Especially if technology is coming along that will sufficiently treat the sludge. So I would like to know also, because it's not just an issue of the town, it's an issue of the county, because the sludge will probably be, maybe, possibly spread out somewhere in the county.
Correct.
So I'd like to know, has it been done somewhere else in the county already that we don't know of? That's another thing.
We deal with that,
Yeah.
sort of an aside, on our septic systems today, they leak, and we have issues with that
being done all
already.
the time.
All over the place. But nobody ever, that I'm aware of, they tried to come up with 40 acres to see if we could treat them here and not let the septic haulers haul it clear down to Pueblo or something, and it wasn't enough ground to do any good with, so that was never even brought up to, it was almost to us to make a decision on whether to allow that or not. But so we wrestled with this in a different form. But that's raw sewage as opposed to the sludge that's been
Treated.
or rotted out through time anyway. So, but that's
So
to come.
education.
But so, in fact, you're right, it could be something that it would be nice if everything was recyclable, just like a satellite, a guy on orbit, you know, they recycle everything. Almost, the technology's there, but on small scales.
So we just need public education about this entire
That's
issue.
part of the point.
Okay, and so that would be special meeting is next Thursday?
27th,
Yes.
5 o'clock at Lang Hall.
Lang Hall.
We wanted it at the school couldn't support it because I wanted to get a gymnasium full of the whole county if it had fit.
Yes, okay, all right. So basically it's, at this point, you all are researching on your own and sharing information.
Right.
And the planning commission hopefully will.
We've been getting calls from the planning commission.
Yes, okay, yes, so they, the ball is in their court so that they can handle it in a way so you can make decisions. Right?
Correct, because they'll put the plan together, they'll go out for public review.
Have a
For
hearing.
public hearing on the proposed changes to the regulations, and then it would come before the board for a vote.
Okay, and they all know that this is of importance.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Now, there's two parts to this, so it's kind of subtle. There's this immediate issue, and then there's the long-term piece that has to be dealt with. And that's what we've been talking about, is regulations, as opposed to an ordinance. Or an SUP, if somebody wanted to all of a sudden invent a farm to, instead of having a septic haulers haul it out of here, let's use human waste for other things. And that's something we haven't had to deal with yet, but that's in the cards for the long-term thing. Immediately is this issue of this piece of ground, and then what makes it urgent is the ability to have purified waste so that the towns can continue to operate without this being moved out and the technology actually being demonstrated full scale.
Yeah, shut down.
They would shut down the water supply in town, period, because you can't flush your toilets anymore, you know? So we gotta be careful, and be deliberate and make sure we get all the data to make the right decision.
Well, right.
And I see this as a very important decision because with the PFAS, the toxic, whatever, the waste that's in there.
Forever chemical, you can go.
Yes, the forever chemicals. Those, if this is allowed and there is PFAS and forever chemicals, whatever, in that sludge that's spread, and then it gets into the water, it gets into the creeks and farmland, it's spread out it's not just us, it's the entire county.
That's correct.
And maybe it'll go to Kansas too.
Not even.
That's correct.
So, you know.
Matter of fact, it is already.
Yeah, it's not what they wanted, but anyway, it will affect so many people in our county. We've got real estate, we've got the health, children. It will affect our children for years to come. So, please, yes, continue to work on this as quickly as you can.
Okay, thanks, Nadine. Anybody else?
I have one last comment. This is a community issue. It affects all sorts of special tax districts, from the library's special taxing district and the people that use the library to the school district and their facilities that use Round Mountain's services, to Custer County Hospital Board, to us, as well as the two towns and Round Mountain. And we've largely been, I don't want to say completely siloed, but we all operated within our boards and our special tax districts, just separately doing our business, going along. And it's probably time that we join together and we do a round table and we start going, how do we help each other? What do we need to do to work on things together for the future of our community? And it's going to take, some work, especially up front. You know, maybe I need to start working on a roundtable between us and the two towns in Round Mountain to start with, and start, what are we gonna do? And if this is not a solution, what is our solution? And if that solution costs more, how are we gonna get the money? What are we going to do? Round Mountain's in an unusual spot too, because it's quasi-government, so there's a lot of grants that it can't apply for, like municipality-run water and sewer. That's an issue, and if that is a continued issue, we may need to see how are we going to correct that? What are we going to do? Are we gonna, how do we fix that problem? We need to have these conversations moving forward to get through this, but that's all my comments.
Where we're starting now. Okay, anybody else? All right, well, then I will adjourn this meeting at 11:51. Thank you, everybody.